Ted? What? I have a feeling we're about to embark upon a most unprecedented expedition.
Hello, welcome to Unequal Sequel. My name is Dave, and I'm one of the two hosts of this dependable podcast.
And I'm Rich, and I'm the other host of this dependable podcast. Think of me as Bill to Dave's Ted, because we're both excellent.
We are both excellent. The premise of Unequal Sequel is very simple. We ask our guests their best ever sequel, their worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course, we quite often drift off and talk about other things, sometimes movies, sometimes just life in general.
And sometimes we do drop big fat spoilers, and they're completely by accident. But if that happens and we mention a film you don't want us to ruin, then just stop, pause the podcast, skip along, go rescue an animal like from a puppy place or a cat from a cat sanctuary, and then come back. You can name them after us if you want. Then come back and carry on the podcast, because on today's episode we are joined by Bec Hill.
Oh, can you imagine a little cat called Dave?
Yeah, I can.
Bec is a brilliant stand-up comedian, presenter and podcaster. Check out her podcast, The Problem Squared. It is brilliant.
Yeah, we're very excited to sit down with Bec and chat all things sequels with her.
These are Bec Hill's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy!
Can you remember the first sequel you got excited about when you were younger?
Oh, first sequel I got excited about. I mean, it was probably I was going to say it was probably the second Back to the Future film. Now, I'm pretty sure, had it come out already by the time I was born? I don't know, but I remember being very excited when I realized there was a second one. Or maybe an Aliens as well.
Ooh.
I loved Aliens as a kid. Yeah. I thought it was very cool. I think it's because my parents let me watch it and they say bitch at the end. I mean, they say a lot worse things, but, you know, that's a real, like, quotable moment. And, you know, hearing people get excited about it.
Yeah.
I think my parents were keen for me to watch films with strong female leads.
At what age?
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah, how old are you when you watched Aliens?
Like, really young. Like, I must have been about, I reckon about 6 or 7.
Whoa.
Because I started watching Red Dwarf when I was 7.
Oh, yeah. So you know what smeg was and everything?
Well, I knew what the term meant. Yeah. Like, I didn't know what the meaning was. I just knew it as a funny word that isn't a swear. But yeah, I think because they wanted me to see what the parody of polymorph was.
Right.
Yeah. It's probably mainly my mum. My mum probably showed me a lot of things. I mean, I watched The Killing Fields when I was like 8 or something, you know.
Was that for a history lesson or something? Just like, you've got to see this.
She wanted me to see it because I had a hairdresser who had escaped from the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, and she wanted me to see what my hairdresser had had to experience.
Okay.
Life lessons through movies. Wholly inappropriate for age group movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't imagine watching Killing Fields and then going back seeing the hairdresser and be like looking at her in the same way. I bet that was a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Did your mum introduce you to a lot of films then? Was she the main force behind the film watching?
Yeah, I would say she was. Like, my parents both watched a lot of films. But yeah, I think my dad just worked a lot, so I didn't so he just wasn't there when I was watching them. But yeah, my mum, she's quite into, she loves comedy,
right.
loves a bit of rom-com, but also a soft spot for horror. She likes a bit of sci-fi and horror, yeah. I've taken after her.
Yeah, at a very young age. So, Aliens, did you love it the first time you watched it, or were you absolutely scared, like petrified?
I don't think I was that scared of it, because I think I saw it as a film. Like, as a very much like, oh, this is a movie and this is all make pretend and these monsters aren't real. And, you know, so I think I just found it more exciting because obviously, what's her name? The little girl in Newt. Yes, I think, again, it was like, well, there's a kid in this. So I'm a kid. So obviously it's fine. The kid's fine. The kid survived. So I would survive, you know? Well, probably wasn't until I was much older that I was like, that is a horrible film to watch as a child. But I loved it. That was great.
And I suppose Aliens is a slightly more family friendly than Alien. Like it's more of an action movie than a horror movie, I suppose.
Yes.
At least.
Yeah, exactly. And the mech suit at the end as well. Like, I mean, it's not meant to be a mech suit, is it? It's meant to be like basically a future version of a forklift. But yeah, one of them. that was pretty cool.
And has your love for Aliens stayed with you? Did you go back and watch did your mum show you the original pretty quickly, or did that take a few years to get around to that one? And what about the rest of the series?
I think that I did watch the original pretty quickly, but I think I've seen the third one, but I don't remember much of it. I think I just keep returning to the first two.
Yeah.
I never saw the most recent one that came out.
Covenant.
I think, yes, Covenant, that was it. I think after a while, I'm like, give me some new sci-fi. Give me something give me an IP that isn't already existing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the wrong show for that, I realise.
Well,
Well, it's like, what an example. Think of examples of original horror recently, but I can't really think. Like Jordan.
You've had Suze Kempner on this show, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, Suze owned the cat from Aliens.
Yeah.
Bit of history.
Which is mind blowing, yeah.
Have you had that conversation with her? Were you amazed when she brought it up as well, as much as I was? I was like, and is the cat still alive? Obviously, sadly, it's not.
I feel like it's one of those things where I found out from someone else. And so by the time it got to the stage where I was present when she was telling the story, I was like, yeah, I already knew this. Yeah. So she never got to see the glory of the moment. Oh, yeah.
She saw that in my face. I thought it was brilliant.
The two of us were like, what?
It's just a small world. So when you were growing up, was it easy to rent films? How did you watch your films? Did you go to the cinema a lot?
So until I was about 4, we lived in Hong Kong. So all of the films that I watched had Cantonese subtitles along the bottom. They're all taped from the TV, and we took those VHSs with us back to Australia. So all throughout my childhood, I was like, all my favorite films had Cantonese subtitles at the bottom and weird half Western, half Cantonese ads, which was really I don't know, just very specific for that time of my life.
Yeah.
And then, I think we stuck with taping stuff from the TV and watching it. My mum's a librarian, so she was sometimes able to borrow videos from the library.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
And so we did that, but we didn't get a blockbuster thing until my brother and I were in our teens. I think we were nearing high school by the time we did the blockbuster thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you grew up in Australia as well.
Yes. Yeah.
In my head, everything's remote. So apologies if I.
I mean, you're right.
How easy was it to go to the cinema?
Oh no, yeah, I'm from Adelaide, so it's a city. Yeah. It was super easy. In fact, my grandma was a huge moviegoer. She used to go to the cinema every Friday.
Oh, bless her.
She'd take herself to the cinema on her own. She'd see a film every Friday. She'd seen all sorts, all different types of films, and most of her reviews were the same, which was, oh, it's good. Bit too much swearing. That was usually about it. That was usually the review of every film. But, I mean, everyone at the cinema knew who she was. Everyone at Westfield, basically, because Westfield's an Australian thing. So you got your big indoor shopping mall. And so she would go there. She'd go get a donut from the donut. She'd get several 6-inch Subway sandwiches and take some home for her fridge and have them throughout the week. And she'd see a film. And I remember she took me to see The Full Monty when that came out, which I must have been about 11, I think. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Did she know what that was about, or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think she'd already seen it, and then she thought it was so funny. She was like, "Oh, I've got to take my granddaughter. This is hilarious." Yeah.
Oh wow, what an incredible memory. Did you used to recommend films to each other as well then, or did you get her input before you watched something?
Yeah, I mainly saw films with her. So she was the main take the kids to the movie person in the family.
Mm.
And then until, you hit your teens and then you get old enough to be like, I'm going to take myself to the cinema. I think the first film I took myself to see at the cinema with a friend that wasn't, like a parent has given us, my friend's mum used to win loads of tickets to things. So there's a few things I saw because their mum had won tickets to it. I don't think that counts. You haven't chosen that. But I think I remember my friend and I specifically chose to go see Superstar at the cinema, which was by the Saturday Night Live crew. So it's like Molly Shannon and Will Ferrell and stuff. It's fine. It's a film-length Saturday Night Live sketch, but I loved it. I loved it because it was the first thing I'd seen that I was like, I chose to watch this. This was my choice. I quoted it for ages because I was just like, I chose that. Yeah.
I've never heard of it, and I've just Googled it, and it's got an incredible cast. It's got like Will Ferrell in it as well. From 1999 it is. Oh, wow. Brilliant. I'm going to watch it.
Don't expect too much, but it's got some funny moments.
Is that where you fell in love with films and cinema? What time did that come along?
So I was nearing high school age by then.
Right.
So I think I was just about to start high school. And so that was like and I'd specifically chosen a comedy. I wanted to see comedy, and I was all about the comedy films. I just wanted to see comedy films because I don't know, I love comedy, and it was kind of the only genre left where I could actively be like my family did watch comedy films, but a lot of the time it was part of something else. Grew up on a lot of Jackie Chan, like the 80s Cantonese films.
Okay.
So, I liked action, I like horror, I like sci-fi, but yeah, just dumb comedy was the first time where I was like, yeah.
Oh, good.
I've chosen this.
And how do you feel about sequels and that kind of thing?
Big fan of a trilogy.
Good.
But that's usually now that I think when it comes to things like franchises, I'm a bit over them. I'm a bit done.
Yeah.
I'm a completionist, and I feel like films are going the same way as American. You know how American drama in TV around the time of Lost was the moment where people realize that sometimes they just start writing a show and they don't know where it's going, and they just make it up as they go. Yeah, and I feel that that's what's happening with films, and I'm like, no, I want to know that you've got this,
And
a friend of mine, we have Lost Day, which is essentially the day that I got up at like 4:00 in the morning to watch the last episode of Lost, and then every year my Facebook memories just pops up where I posted like, "Fuck you, J.J. Abrams, fuck you," and every year my friend like sends me a screenshot of it and being like, "It's Lost Day."
Oh, amazing.
What is your best ever sequel?
Okay, so this was hard. And I know that naturally, as soon as this episode comes out, I'm going to be like, oh, doy, why didn't I say this? But I'm going to say I think the best ever sequel in terms, and I think what makes a best sequel is one that is better than the first one.
Right.
Because I love Aliens, but the first film is very good,
True.
And so it's like you can't really compare. I was tempted to choose Thor Ragnarok for this because
that's a good choice.
And what I love about that is it's the third film and it's better than the first two, and that's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had to go with Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey because it is the better film.
I'm so glad you did, because Dave, you've never watched any Bill and Ted's until now, have you?
It was the first day I've ever watched a Bill and Ted movie.
And it's awesome, right?
I liked it, yeah.
Did you start with Bogus Journey, or did you do the first one first?
I still haven't watched the other two. I remember watching the cartoon back in the day. I remember the cartoon a lot.
Yes.
And I thought I've always seen Bill and Ted because it's just part of like DNA of like 21st century pop culture and stuff. But then I started to watch it one day. I was like, I have no recollection of this. And I watched it too. I've definitely never seen Bogus Journey in my life. But I liked it. How did you come across it? Were you a big fan of Excellent Adventure?
So I saw Bogus Journey before Excellent Adventure.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I went the same way as you. And I must have been pretty young. I reckon I was probably about 8. And it was at my mum had, my mum still has a friend called Bron, who's my auntie Bron. You know how everyone, there's that auntie, it's that you're not related, but yeah.
I've got Auntie Sal, yeah.
Exactly. Shout out to Auntie Sal.
Yeah,
so,
she loved that.
I was at Auntie Bron's house, and she's got 2 daughters that are older than me. One by a few years, the other just, by about 6 months or something. And they were watching it. And so I was watching it, and I thought they were so cool because they're, they were, in high school and stuff. Or the oldest one was in high school. So it's like, oh, this is so cool. So I watched Bogus Journey, and it did that thing where it imprinted on my mind. I remember finding it very funny. I remember the bit that always stuck out to me was the Bill and Ted playing death in all the games.
That's the best scene,
games,
I think.
yeah.
In the board games, yeah. And I remember finding that absolutely hilarious. And that stuck with me really hard for ages. And then it sort of went off the radar. And then I don't think it was until my teens that I watched, probably until I got a Blockbuster thing. And then I think I went back and watched the first one and was like, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then realized, it was Bogus Journey I'd seen. I think all that time I'd assumed that I'd seen Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
And then was like, okay, this is fun. It's dumb, but it's fun. And then watched Bogus Journey and was like, oh, yeah. That's that weird nostalgia feeling. That feeling when you see something from when you're younger and you start to realize what parts were real. And because sometimes you just think, was it a dream?
Yeah.
Did I just dream something? And then you get a little... Same with Superman 2. When I went to Paris, it was a very quick day trip, and we were we went up towards the Eiffel Tower just to look. We didn't actually go up it. We just had a look, and I suddenly got this weird why have I seen this? Why I know this, what this looks like from my childhood. Why do I know this? And I realized Superman 2, and I was
Amazing.
like, it's so visceral. It's such a weird way it imprints on your mind at such a young age. So yeah, Bogus Journey. I'd done that. I did rewatch them recently. Once I realized I was doing the show, I was like, I need to rewatch them.
Thank you.
And I watched them with someone who hadn't seen them.
Oh, good. Who was that?
Yeah, Joz Norris, comedian Joz Norris.
Cool.
Yeah, and he found them very enjoyable. He agreed the second one is better. There are a few moments in both of them where you're like, this was almost a good film, and then there's a few moments where you're like, that doesn't age well. That's a dated gag. That's not, that's not kosher. But other than those, and there's fewer of it in Bogus Journey as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bogus Journey's got fewer of those slightly iffy bits.
Yeah. I should point out for anyone who's not sure. Basically, we're just talking about 90s grade casual homophobia.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't lean
Nothing
on
too
that,
terrible.
but it's just enough where you're like,
I remember that now.
Yeah.
What makes it better than the original for you then?
Everything. It's filmed. It's the shots are better.
Right.
It's more dynamic. The concept, the script is better. The first film, the script is awful. It'd been so long since I'd watched the first one, and it is terrible. They hold the pauses between the transitions for so long. It's almost like the original Star Wars episodes where they have to leave the scene running a little bit longer so there's time to get that weird crossfade over it or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they just sit on some scenes for too long. There's lines that aren't necessary. That almost all of it is 3 times exposition. Multiple lines of exposition. In fact, I would argue that most of it is exposition. And yet it's really fun because they're such lovable characters. But they're not even really they're very passive protagonists. They're the passive heroes. They don't really do that much.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not they're not actually good at anything, are they?
No.
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
all this stuff happens to them, like, despite them being useless, rather than because of who they are. You know, they are definitely. I think they're. It's Bogus Journey, where basically their girlfriends are way better at everything than they are.
Oh, yeah.
In the band.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, exactly. And Bogus Journey, but at least Bogus Journey has some interesting moments, has some good lines of dialogue. The characters are much clearer. It's still super camp, but in a way more dynamic and fun way. There's so you'll notice that they mention station a lot. So there's these two sort of genius aliens who were in heaven.
Yeah.
And they're called Station. They join up and become one being called Station. But throughout the entire film, people say Station. Like the guitarist from Faith No More comes out and he's like, Station at the very beginning. And then there's a few other moments where people say Station, and they say like Station to me, like cool, or like, and I was like, I haven't heard this anywhere else except for in this film. Like Station being used as like a, you know, in the same sense as like excellent or whatever.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and found out that basically when the writers, the two guys who wrote it, who also wrote the first film, when they were, which by the way, the first film was written on a napkin over the course of like 4 days or something in a cafe. Oh no, not on a napkin. It was written by pen. Sorry. It was pen and paper, and it was written pen and paper in a cafe over 4 days. And you can tell. But when they were writing the second film, typing it up, they'd had a scene that said like int, you know, like internal, interior. Sorry, not internal, interior. So int police station, and then they decided to delete that scene, but they had not deleted the full thing, so it still said station rather than interior police station. And they were so drunk when they read that and realized it that they thought it was absolutely hilarious that just midway through the script in capitals it just said station with zero context or anything around it. And so they started quoting it to each other, and so they just kept slipping it into lines of dialogue because they thought it was really funny.
Wow.
Amazing. And one of the guys that plays Station is like Chucky. Like he also,
no way! From Child's Play.
Yeah, from Child's Play.
Amazing. That makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah. You can sort of tell.
I do have some questions because I've never seen the original. But Rufus, the George Carlin character, does he have a bigger part in the first one? Because
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Death kind of replaces Rufus in this one.
Who's a better character for you then? Who's better, Death or Rufus?
Death. Death is a very funny character.
Yeah.
That's the kind of eternal Bill and Ted fans question, isn't it? Are you a Rufus person or a Death person? And that decides whether you like Bogus Journey or Excellent Adventure.
Okay.
Right. That's a good... Yeah.
And then the third one, we just don't really talk about that much.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I saw the third one.
In the cinema?
I saw the third one just in the cinema just after lockdown, and my husband and I were the only two people in the entire cinema, and it was one of the big ones. It was a big screen.
Yeah.
So we had the entire cinema to ourselves, and it was delightful. We went in expecting it to be no better than the first two, and we were correct. And we were like, this is going to be really dumb, and it's not going to be the best script, it's not going to be the best storyline, but it's going to be, I'm just going to lean into it. And I found that if you lean into it, it's very enjoyable. And there is another character that almost is like, there's another character in the third one who I didn't realize. I was at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, that character was amazing. That's so funny. What a great character. And it wasn't until the credits that I was like, oh, of course. It's is it Anthony? I forgot his surname. He plays NoHo Hank in Barry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Anthony Carrigan.
Yeah, that feels right.
He's great in Barry.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the first one, but what you're talking about, but Barry is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in like... he plays Victor Zsasz in Gotham as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen that.
Ah.
He has,
the TV
he's
series.
the bald guy, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Anthony Carrigan.
Is everything good about Bill and Ted? Is it down to Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, do you reckon? Because they really commit.
100%. Apparently, originally, the two characters... So the two writers used to do the characters as a like in a stand-up set. Like they were just these characters they came up with, but they were meant to be like 14-year-old boys who were not cool, who were like bullied at school
Right.
and into like metal and stuff. And then they wrote the script, and that was meant to be the characters, and then obviously they aged it up a bit. And when the studio cast Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, they were like, well, they're too cool. No one's going to believe that they're these guys. So they decided to make them just more sort of ditzy Valley type guys. Well, they're not Valley guys because they're from San Dimas. But but just gave them that sort of vibe, and it worked. And I think that's the only thing that makes the film really watchable. Yeah, is there's just there's an innocence to them that's really lovely,
and a friendship as well. The chemistry between the two of them is really nice, I think.
Yeah, it's always nice to see like just friends being really good friends.
Yeah,
it's like Broad City is lovely for that. Like anything where you're just like, yeah.
And they're really dumb, but there's no malice in them, is there? There's nothing. Absolutely none. You know, there's no badness in Bill and Ted. They're just there to have fun.
And even though it's a teen film, and there's loads of teen jokes in there, like there's loads of teen and adult jokes in there. It is a PG film, despite the fact that there's a lot of references that were definitely for the grown-ups.
Yeah.
But what I feel sets it apart from other teen films is like there's a little bit of a romance plot, but it doesn't in both films.
Yeah.
It doesn't overpower the storyline. It's not about the romance, but at no point are they like, does it become about them just trying to get with women? It's like, as in like, they're not trying to sleep with them. It's always like, I've fallen in love. And like in the first film, it's them meeting the princesses, which is why they're called princesses in Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
They meet them and they're like, oh, we're in love. And we've got to bring them back with us. And then in Bogus Journey, it's like, oh, we want them to marry us.
Yeah, it's quite sweet.
It's so wholesome. Like, you know, they're good looking fellas. They're clearly like cool to a point. They're not poor. You know, by film standards, I mean, these are this is the recipe for dudes who get laid.
Yeah.
And it's not even about them not getting laid. It's not like there's no talk of layage really at all.
No.
It's the first one they're just trying to find about for the history project or something, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I think it works so well as a sequel as well because I've never seen the first one, but I know enough to really enjoy this one. I just sat back and it kind of explains a lot of itself. So the bald guy, sorry about the questions, the bald guy, he's not the bad bald guy from Lethal Weapon 2. He's not in the first one.
The bald guy. You know, do you mean Death?
No, not the bald.
The big fella.
Diplomatic
and I
immunity.
forgot his. I've got to remember his name because his name. Another bit of trivia. His name is one of the writers' names backwards.
Ah, yes. I read that.
It's what's his name?
Let's all think of Ed Solomon.
Denormos? Is that his name?
Yes.
That's the baddie, right?
Like...
Yes, Denormos. Yes. The one from Lethal Weapon.
Oh, so his name's Ed Solomon. I get it. Like, cause
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So he's not in the first one, no?
No, he's not
in the first one, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
They set him up like, because he's the first thing you see, and he's like, we're back kind of thing. And I thought, okay, this is carrying on from the last film, but it doesn't. And it doesn't really matter. Why do you think, though? Because there was the first two, and then there's such a big gap till the third one, and it kind of got this cult following to get the third one. Why? What's in those films that makes it like relevant today kind of thing, and people keep going back to it?
I mean, I don't think it's made a lot of money.
The third one, or
no,
overall?
The second one was not. Yeah, the second one did not make a huge amount of money.
No.
But I think it did gain a cult status because I think a lot of people discovered it through VHS or, renting or whatever. And then I reckon a lot of people like me had it as a thing that both films as something like they nostalgically loved because they remembered from their childhood. And so they carried that with it. So then when they watch it as adults and they're forced with the truth that maybe they're not the best films. But it's like, do I want to let go of that? I'm willing to admit that the first film is not the best film. And the only reason I probably feel an affinity towards it is because I saw it young.
Yeah.
The second film I think is really nice because it's a good example of filmmaking from that time. It's got that real cheesiness, but the effects are not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good time capsule, and I think that's what people found really fascinating about it. And then I think it's just a lot of those. I mean, they're all bringing back stuff that people love when they were younger at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the legacy sequels.
Yeah.
Would you watch another one? Is there any way you think I'd like to see more of these characters, or do you now think it's a piece of its time kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't think they could pull it off. I do love those characters, but I mean, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are older men now, and they can't and I don't want to see anyone else playing the characters.
No.
Maybe if they did deep fakes, like AI is getting pretty good. Maybe if they did a deep fake, you could do prequel of the third one, but a sequel of the second one. And do something with that, with them playing still their young versions, yeah.
Did your nan watch these films? Did she give you a recommendation?
I don't think she did. I think she didn't tend to do the teen films that much.
Okay.
Yeah, even though it was like PG, I don't think that was. Yeah, I think she tended to steer clear of those.
Brilliant.
She wasn't into Encino Man or anything.
I've got a little question for you before we go on to the worst question. It's to warm up to that question, basically. So
I like to think as well that when you say the worst question, it's not about sequels. It's just a horrible question.
It's just a horrible question.
Yeah.
What has been the most disappointing sequel that you've come out of? So it's not that it's a bad sequel at all, but you've went in really high and you came out and it's just let you down a little bit. It doesn't have to be a bad film.
Oh, I mean, probably like. It's probably going to be one of them. Oh, no, tell you what. It's Superman versus Batman.
Brilliant.
Oh, great shout.
Yeah. Because I got to go to the premiere of that. I got to do like the red carpet thing. And it's the only one I've ever done. And so I wanted really hard to like that film. And despite that, I can't... I can't give it to him. I just remember from the moment that he gets in the bath with Amy Adams and he's like, she's in the bath and he's talking to her, and then he steps into this is Superman, and he steps into the bath, but he's still wearing shoes. And I was like, I don't care how in love you are. No one is like, yay, get all on me. I'd be like, get your freaking shoes out of my bath.
Yeah.
You're bringing the outside to my bare skin. I'm literally washing right now.
I was just having a moment without you, kind of thing.
Yeah. Look, if he takes his kid off and gets in the bath, fine. Do you know what? Even if he took off his shoes, even if he left his socks on and stepped in fully clothed, I could just sort of go, yeah. But stepping in with the shoes, no. No one is inviting that unless it's a kink. And if it's a kink, I feel like it should have been a bigger part of the film.
Yeah.
I would want to see like more dirty shoe stuff.
Really lean into it. Lean into Lois's shoe fetish.
Yeah.
So when you're in that premiere and it's about 4 hours long or however long it is, it seems like it's going on forever. Could you just feel like the wind coming out of everyone? Like, what was the atmosphere like? I think people actually hold on to it a lot more than you would normally, because like when you're in a room with Ben Affleck and Jason Momoa and all, John Cavill, all that lot. Yeah. You're like, it's like when you sit in the front row and your friend's doing a stand-up set Right.
And you're like, you don't want them to die. So even if they're dying, you have a big smile on your face because you're like, you can do it. Don't give up. Like, I can't have you see me lose faith in you. So I'm just going to keep smiling. And that's what it was like.
Oh,
I think
wow.
everyone left exhausted
Yeah, I bet.
because it's like
Yeah,
all
I
your
can
goodwill
imagine.
has been spent up. Yeah.
So did you think it was going to be good when you were going in? Because I think we all were, because you're like Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
How can you have a bad
Yeah.
Batman and Superman film?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was going to be brilliant. And then I think I remember the internal monologue being like, oh no, this is not, I don't know what's happening. I couldn't tell you anything that happens in that film. I couldn't tell you a single thing.
It's baffling. That whole film was baffling. That's why.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. I watched it in a tiny little cinema in Bognor Regis with a friend that me and Dave know from university.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point turning around to him and going, "I have no idea what's going on," and he's like, "I love this movie." I'm like, "You have the worst taste ever."
He's an idiot, by the way.
He historically has terrible
Horrible
taste in
taste in
movies.
You should make him pay for every film ticket whenever you're going to do
Yeah.
this with him.
I took my
Should be the
wife to see
deal.
this, Batman vs. Superman, and she fell asleep. So she feels just like you.
I mean, that's
Beck.
fair.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
hasn't forgiven me for that one. Because it's just boring, and there's lots of things about Martha, and then
Yeah.
Oh God!
big smashy at the end, and
Have
You've just
either of you ever
reminded
walked
me
out
how
of a
they.
film?
Rich
Apologies
has.
if you've talked about this.
Rich has.
I have, yeah. So I walked out of Spider-Man 3 when Tobey
really?
Maguire starts doing the dancing.
See, that's my favorite part of Spider-Man 3.
Is it?
I'm like, I'm not sold until he does the dance. And I was like, oh, it's one of those films. I can get on board with this now. Yeah.
My friend leaned over to me and went, "There's an all-you-can-eat Chinese restaurant next door. Should we just go and do that instead?" And I was like, "Yes, yes."
Yeah.
See, I've seen some shit, and I still haven't brought myself to ever walk out anything yet. Nothing's quite pushed me to that club. I'm trying to think if there's some
No,
times
not quite.
close.
I nearly walked out of Sweeney Todd, the Johnny Depp one.
Yeah.
It was
Oh.
very close.
I haven't seen that
But,
one. I don't like to do musical movies.
Oh, it's bad.
I fell
Yeah.
asleep in a Bruce
Yeah.
Springsteen movie a couple of years ago at the London Film Festival. I was so tired, and his voice was so smoothing, and I just
Did you say he's so smoothing?
Yeah,
Like smooth and soothing?
yeah,
That's great.
You just made a word up there, mate.
that's what I do.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great portmanteau. To take it. Write that down.
Oh
You've
god,
got such a smoothing voice.
smoothing voice. Anyway, I was so tired, I fell asleep, and then I woke up at the end of it. It was like he was singing me a lullaby. It was.
Yeah.
I had this big comfortable seat in Leicester Square, Odeon. They just redone it.
Oh, yeah.
I was gone, and then his voice. Now I still listen to it. And think, but yeah, that sends me to sleep now.
You know,
Yeah.
For every episode of this podcast, Dave, in the very intro, Dave uses a different word to describe the podcast. So now we're going to have to call it smoothing, Dave.
Smoothing.
That's
I'm
gonna
writing
have
it
to happen.
down.
Yeah, do it.
What is your worst sequel ever?
So, I nearly put this as best sequel
What a ride this is going to be then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
because there, as you may have already guessed from the way that the Tobey Maguire dancing in Spider-Man 3 is the turnaround moment for me. Because what I think if you're going to be bad, be so bad that you're entertainingly bad.
Right.
Okay.
It's like, it's like when people do Edinburgh Fringe and they're like, no one wants a 3-star review.
No.
Right.
Because no one's going to see a 3-star show. But I
yeah,
tell you
it's
what,
really hard to like. Yeah.
I've seen a show that got 1 star because it got 1 star. Because I was like, why did it get 1 star?
How bad is it?
Yeah, and so that's
Was
why
it that
Was it bad?
it was awful.
Okay.
It was Nancy Delolio's Nancy Delolio did an hour, and
Oh.
Fucking hell.
it involved like a 5-minute costume change on stage where they bring out a screen and then they just like dim the lights and have some music on and everybody sits there in silence while she gets changed. It was incredible.
Okay.
In fact, there is a comedian called Diane Spencer. She was paid a lot of money to help write this show for Nancy Delolio, which she did not want to do but needed the money. And it was a nightmare because Nancy didn't get most of the jokes, so a lot of the jokes got cut, but it was meant to be a comedy. Then the following year, after it all happened, Diane Spencer wrote a show about having to write Nancy DeLoglio's show. And I believe it's on YouTube for free. I believe she's got the whole show up on YouTube.
Oh, I'm going to find that.
Find it. Diane Spencer.
Was it sold out every night, though? Because it got 1 star.
So it wasn't doing well. Then it got like either 1 star or no stars. I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
And that was Rainbows from Diamonds. That's the name of Nancy DeLoglio's show. Okay. And Diane Spencer's show was called Power Tool.
Does something so bad bring the audience in? Because I'm thinking like film-wise.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So after that happened, they didn't necessarily sell loads more tickets, but everyone with passes started coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because people didn't want to invest their money, but they did want to see the train wreck.
I imagine it's like when they released Cats a few years ago and everyone had Cinema Unlimited cards. They were like, well, I'm not paying for this, but I want to see what kind of car crash this is.
Yeah, exactly that.
I'm with you.
So so I think the film that I've decided is the worst, but also the best because of that.
Brilliant.
And I've often told people it's my favorite of the entire franchise. Is Batman and Robin.
Oh, Christ. Okay. Do you want to work with start with the best bit or the worst bit? How do you want to attack this?
Okay. I think the worst part is that everyone talks about Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
Bad.
With his ice puns. The thing is, he only has like 2 actual puns in the whole film. Maybe 3. A lot of them are just like facts. Like there's a bit where he's like, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. And you're like, yeah, that's just a fact. It's not. He says it because they're in a museum.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's like dinosaur adjacent, but that's not a pun. You've just stated something that happened.
Yeah.
I like almost everyone exclusively talks in one-liners in this movie. Like, no one actually has a conversation. They just this is like who can get in the trailer the most. Like who can say the most one-liners. Like it's so ridiculous.
I think that's why I love it.
When did the love-hate start? When did you see it? Was it early on?
Yeah, again, it must have been a kid one. I think I remember falling. I'm a sucker for merchandise, and I know that this whole film was written with merchandise in mind.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So I think that I just fell for it. I fell for all the marketing ploys as a kid and was like, yeah, this is great. It's got lots of color. There's some jokes, and you can buy the toys. And that's all I needed, really, in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's
and then
pretty simple.
I think it's my favorite hangover film. It's a great film to watch if you're really hungover on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
No way.
Because you don't have to think.
I can't imagine
and you can just sit there laughing. Yeah.
I can't do bat nipples on a hangover. No chance.
There's your quote. Put that in the show notes. Can't do bat nipples on a hangover.
Yeah. How often have you watched it then? Because we've done this podcast for about 2 years now, and a few people have picked Batman and Robin. And I don't know where Rich is at with it, but I watched it pretty recently. And I couldn't bring myself to watch it again in the last couple of days. I think I've spent enough time with Batman and Robin, more than most people, I think. But apparently you've gone above and beyond.
I'm disappointed in myself for not making it the best sequel now.
This is only the second time that we had a guest pick something that could have been best, worst, or worst sequel.
Yes.
We had someone pick Grease 2. So the Cinemile guys, they picked Grease 2 for their best sequel and then changed their mind after they'd watched it and moved it to worst sequel.
Great.
I've
watched it. I've watched it recently. I would say I watch it maybe every couple of years. Not normally. So normally it's either because
you're a completist.
I'm a completist. It's usually either because it's on TV, although I don't watch terrestrial television that much these days, but it would be like you're channel surfing and it's on and you're like, yeah, I'm too tired. I need something that will play in the background while I look at my phone. And then I can look up occasionally and go, this is so bad. And this is like it's sort of more recently, I end up watching it because I tell people I think it's the best one. I think it's the best Batman film because it's so
bad,
terrible. And a lot of people either have never seen it or haven't seen it since they were kids.
Yeah.
And so then I will make them watch it. And I will. So most of the times when I watch it, it's because I'm at someone else's house and we're hungover and I've been like, we should watch Batman and Robin.
Then do you end up watching them watching the film? Because you're like,
yes,
wait for it?
I'm more doing that. Yeah. And watching their pain. It's a lot of Schadenfreude. Yeah.
It's like,
I'm a bit of a masochist.
Yeah, there's definitely something in that. You've brought up now, you've got Batman and Superman as your most disappointing. You've got Batman and Robin as your worst/best. Are you a big Batman fan? What's the history here?
I feel like there's just I feel like just when you're a certain age, you just didn't have a choice, did you?
That's true. Back in the day, we didn't have Netflix and shit.
Yeah. That was like all that we were like, because we're of a generation where a lot of us, I think, very, very young would have seen the original like Superman films.
Yeah.
And that's like your foray into DC Comics. And so then what I think a lot of us would have been very young when the Tim Burton films started coming out. So then that shapes like those three films around that era, they came out, they weren't all Tim Burton, but yeah, they all sort of came out like over the course of, just within a decade.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They were pretty quick after each other.
Batman was 89, yeah. Returns was 92, and Forever, I think, was 95, and this was 97.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those films kind of carry you through pretty much your whole childhood, formative years. And then there's a wee break where you're basically just rerunning those.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you sort of get to like drinking age, bam, Nolan's out. And you're like, oh, it's grown-up Batman.
Yeah.
We were watching kid Batman, and now we've got grown-up Batman, and I'm a grown-up now, so I'm going to watch grown-up Batman. And I do think, you've definitely had... if I hadn't have chosen Bogus Journey, it would have been Dark Knight, because Dark Knight is the best sequel of the Nolan films.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And I think that, those ones, you're like, the second one, Dark Knight is just phenomenal. You can, again, watch that again and again. It's very rewatchable.
Absolutely, yeah. And lots of people have picked that as their best sequel. Like that's a very popular choice, that Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's very good.
It's very
I haven't seen The Batman.
Oh, okay. We didn't like it much, did we, Dave?
We did not give it a glowing review.
Everyone else loved it.
I heard a lot of people a bit meh about it. And these days,
okay.
Yeah, these days I don't really go to the cinema unless it's something that I'm like Bullet Train. I was like, I'm going to enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't watch trailers now because I find that what I expect from a trailer ends up, the film can never deliver. The film will never be as good as I think the last time I watched a trailer and the film was as good as the trailer, and I'd seen the whole trailer, was Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh,
and
wow,
I think pretty much since then I've never seen a trailer where the film has lived up to it. So what I tend to do is I'll watch the first couple of seconds and then immediately stop it and go, yes, okay, I will see that. So Bullet Train, I was like, yep, this is exactly what I wanted. This is John Wick on a train in Tokyo. This is great.
And fun and funnier than I thought it was going to be. Bullet Train.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Really enjoyed
that.
Yeah.
So it's either stuff like that or basically films I have to either be really, really excited about, or it has to be something where I have zero expectations. I saw Free Guy just because I was like, it's on and I have zero expectations, and I think I just for some had to kill time.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was like, I bloody love that.
Oh, good.
I love Free Guy because I had zero expectations for it. And I was like, that was surprisingly good.
From your picks and from what we've talked about so far, I can't imagine you loving the Batman, to be honest.
Yeah.
it's about 15 hours long.
It's very long.
Yeah, I can't do it. I like it. That's the thing about the Bill and Ted. That's another reason why the Bill and Ted films are 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, love a 90-minute movie.
Well, Batman and Robin's 2 hours 10, and I feel that's about an hour and 10 too much probably in this film.
Yes, that is true.
But what about the other characters, like the Poison Ivy, the Batgirl, Robin? It's all terrible, right?
Yeah, absolutely awful. It's so bad. I mean, there's so many issues with Emma Thurman's, like with Poison Ivy. Her character just keeps changing. Like sometimes she's really independent, and other times suddenly she's like really desperate. Oh, and also like her whole thing is like she's the good guy.
Yeah.
Like her whole thing is like she's an environmentalist. And then she basically wants to protest Wayne Industries because she's like, you guys need to care about the environment more. You need to put funding into this. But she's shown as like this lunatic who like, oh yeah, let's ignore her. And then she becomes like this mad, villain. But her whole shtick is very positive. Like, we should be going for her. He's the bad guy. He's literally the man. He is capitalism with a superpower.
This is the thing with Batman, is that Batman's a dick. Like, he is.
He's
a billionaire. He could solve all the world's problems, but instead, he decides to dress up like a bat and run around at night being miserable.
And it's like, you do realize that if you put all this time and effort into your company, you could then create enough like counseling services or welfare services that would stop people who are experiencing these issues, which then lead on to crime down the road.
Absolutely. Want to solve crime in Gotham?
Like, invest in your community, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what his dad did. His dad built like the railways so that like it became more interconnected, and like his dad was brilliant.
Yeah, 100%.
Ah,
Thomas Wayne's a hero.
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne's a dick.
You don't get any of that from George Clooney, really.
No, but I think that's why I like it, because it's really hard to like. It's so problematic that it's not like. It's not pretending to be realistic or good. You know what I mean?
We have had this conversation with someone that they respect this film because it was the vision of the director. The director pretty much aimed to make a Batman film looking like this. And he's like, I'm committing to this. Whatever happens, this is the Batman film that I wanted. And by the end of it, it is shocking. But at least he stuck to his vision. And he probably didn't want Arnold Schwarzenegger in his movie. But that was a Warner Brothers choice for like how much millions he was getting paid for it. But, at least he stuck with it.
I think he's great. I think Schwarzenegger's great. I love the fact that you can tell in the first scene when they freeze the museum and you can hear ice skate sound effects, but there's several shots where you can see the rollerblades. They're literally wearing rollerblades. They didn't even try to cut that out.
No.
It's right from the beginning.
Oh god, the bat skates. I forgot about the bat skates.
The bat card, the MasterCard.
How did they even know? How did they know to wear bat skates? Just turn up and be like,
that's what I mean. It's so like, it is basically
mental.
It's so, it's not trying, it's in this world of like fake news and people not, it's like the film version of The Onion.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, it's so dumb. It can't be real. Unfortunately now The Onion is getting to a point where it's like starting to feel a bit real, but like, the world is getting a bit like that. But fortunately we're not at a point yet where we're believing in Batman and Robin. That's the moment we get to a stage where people are like, this could be a documentary. That's when we're in trouble.
It is kind of like the Ugly Duckling out of the Batman series, because the first two are quite serious. Forever's not quite leaning quite into this. And then obviously you get the Nolans and whatever we get after this. And this one's just, it's like you said, it's like an acid trip. It's mind-boggling, really, watching it back and how much money they threw at it and how cheap it looks.
Yeah. When you consider like the kids' TV shows that were being made around that time.
I'll never get my head around it.
It wasn't cheap, was it? It was like 125 million or something they spent on it.
I bet most of that went into the actors.
Yeah, it must
I think so.
And UV lights and, stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
That credit
Those
card.
neon punks aren't cheap.
Oh, God. That's awful.
The pump to pump Bane up.
Yes.
Is there a franchise that maybe you liked the beginning, then it went bad, then you got used to it, or the other way around, so you didn't like it and then you eventually warmed to it?
Oh, I mean, I guess that is the whole Avengers Marvel thing, because with the Avengers films, I think one of them I didn't see. I don't think I saw Age of Ultron.
Oh, that's the one to
But
miss.
then
That's not the best.
Yeah, I didn't see Age of Ultron, but then when the final film came, I saw the last two, the
Infinity
two-parters.
War and Endgame, yeah.
Endgame, yeah.
Yeah, and when Infinity War came out, I'd already seen that, and I was like, well, you got to watch Endgame. And so we went to a double bill screening where they played both of them because I couldn't remember what happened.
That's a long screening.
So it was actually, it was long. There was a break in between, and I think they had to do it late at night because it was like after midnight when the film
You
was
went to the midnight screening.
coming out. Yeah, so they showed like Infinity War at like 9:30 p.m. or something, and then you'd have a break and then did that. And it was a really nice turnout, and all the staff were like wearing, costumes and stuff.
Fun.
And not good costumes, just like, under their uniforms. You'd see like a little peek of a like bad Iron Man muscle top or something. But it was really cute, and just everyone there was sort of the same mindset.
Yeah.
Like no one was like a super taking it seriously type thing. And yeah, it was great. It was really fun.
Have you never been liked the Marvels then, or were you a fan of it at the beginning and it lost its way a little bit, or was it hard to come round to it?
I loved when the Marvels, like I loved Iron Man. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
But but again, it feeds my sci-fi, my love of sci-fi and tech and that sort of thing. I think I lost my love for it around the time of the first Thor film.
That's like the third movie.
First one or yeah.
Pretty
There
quickly,
you go.
Henrik.
Yeah. It was around then that I was like, I'm not going to see it in the cinema. And I stopped watching the films in the cinema at that stage. And then I just basically, my husband will watch stuff, and he had an unlimited card, so he would go and see stuff, and basically he would come back and say whether I should or shouldn't watch something.
Okay.
And he knows me 100%. Like he's basically my filter now for films. So he'll see stuff and be like, he'll be like, I enjoyed it. You would not enjoy it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I believe that. And if he says like, actually, I think you should give this a go, pretty much whenever he says, I think you'll enjoy this, I enjoy it.
Is that how you saw Thor Ragnarok? Did he come back and tell you about it and go, this is a good one?
We saw that because Taika Waititi was attached, and immediately we were like, yeah, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
This will be a good one. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy as well, but I didn't see the most recent one either.
Okay.
Of that.
That's good. Have you seen the most recent Thor one as well then? Love and Thunder because of Taika? Or...
No.
So now Marvel is a no-go to you, or is it just, I'll wait until it's Disney Channel in a few years' time?
Yeah, I'm just going to wait until people go on and on about something. Like when the fourth Thor came out, so many people were like, oh, I was really hoping it'd be like Ragnarok, and it didn't quite hit it. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to bother then.
Yeah,
There's
that's
too
the right
much
choice.
content now. There's too much choice. There are too many things. There's series of Barry to watch. I don't have time.
Yeah.
There's so much Marvel stuff as well. And
I don't think I'd be watching any Marvel movies if it wasn't for this podcast. I'm kind of I'm really over superheroes right now. I'm so done. Like,
Guardians Volume 3 was good.
I'm even looking forward to like Gladiator 2 because at least it's not superheroes. Like
You're doing a second Gladiator film.
They are. They're filming it right now.
With Russell Crowe?
No. They've got
Paul Mescal.
Paul Mescal.
Pedro Pascal's in it as well.
and
Denzel
Denzel
Washington.
They're going to do him to death.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal is going to get the James Corden treatment. Everyone loves him, and then no. Do you know what? That's harsh. No one's going to have the James Corden. Because he's too lovable, so he can't do it. But he'll get the Benedict Cumberbatch treatment, where it'll hit a moment where everyone's like, oh,
just that enough.
Too much Pedro Pascal. Oh, it's like that when you've had too much Christmas dinner. That's like, oh. I was good. It was good, but I couldn't possibly. No, just let me have a little break for a bit.
Let's get every Christmas.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Someone pointed something out to me recently that they said that there's a trend in like Gen, and I'm just quoting. I can't back this up. I'm interested to see if any listeners agree or disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a trend with Gen Z, like with Gen Zers, with Gen Zs at the moment, mostly female, who going for older men because of he calls it the Pedro Pascal effect, because he does such a good job of being this like DILF where he's so lovable, but like, I will protect you, and I'm a little bit grumpy, but also in real life I'm a bit kooky and look at my fun glasses and then in my cardigans, and that he's just created this aura that like younger girls like, oh, I want him to be my look, I say this as someone married to an older man, but like that sort of like, I want my daddy issues person. That's the Pedro Pascal effect.
I can sort of see that, but then Pedro Pascal looks like Pedro Pascal, and most people Pedro Pascal's age look like me. Like, you know, that's not good.
Also, he plays someone 10 years older than himself in Last of Us.
Yes.
That is true, yeah.
Like, you can, when he moves his head quickly, you can pretty much see the puffs of talc coming out of his head. They've tried so hard to make him look grey. Like, there is not a shortage of silver foxes in this world, but they were like, no, let's take a man 10 years younger and
age him up.
Force greyness on him, yeah.
Is that because, and I haven't watched any Last of Us or played it, there's a gap between the two games? I think there's a time jump.
There isn't in the series.
There's not?
No.
No.
Go back in my hole.
They just make him look older.
Oh, okay. I was trying to defend Pedro.
Oh, it's not his fault. He can't change how old he is.
What is your dream sequel? I had to think about the question then. What is your dream sequel?
Dreacle.
Yeah, treacle.
Oh,
yeah.
We need to do that.
Yeah, you can have that. Have a treacle. I'll take smoothing, and you can take treacle.
Nice. Deal.
My treacle is Back to the Future 4, but it comes with a caveat.
Okay.
Because you can't make it now.
We're time travelers.
Fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. You can. It can be whenever you want it.
Unless again you were going for like a deep fake type thing. But even then, because I had the honor of interviewing Christopher Lloyd at Brussels Comic-Con last year, and he is lovely, but he should be at home sitting on a porch, watching sunsets.
Yeah.
That he should be having pleasant conversation with people and living his best life, because that man, he seemed very out of place at the Comic-Con. And I was like, oh no, Christopher Lloyd, like he's brilliant, but he's also, it felt like it was so not beneath him. He wasn't giving out that, but it was just like, he is an older man.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, he was struggling to hear over the sound, and it was that sort of thing where it's like, I felt like I'd brought a grandparent to Comic-Con and then was trying to ask them about stuff, but in a very loud, like almost aircraft hangar type
I think the thing
warehouse.
With Christopher Lloyd is he's felt old forever.
Yeah, I don't know how old Christopher Lloyd is, because he played an old man in Back to the Future.
He's 37.
In Back to the Future. Well, now.
It's just got bad hearing.
Yeah.
He's because he did, but I think he wasn't that old when he played Doc from memory. I think he was like in his late 40s, early 50s or something.
Yeah, because they aged him up as well, like Pedro. What a link! They aged him up as well. You said earlier that Back to the Future 2 is the first sequel that you can remember watching. So, love goes deep, right? For Back to the Futures.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see this little smile on my face. Did you watch the first one first, and then the second, and then the third? Or were you, like a lot of people when you're young and you'll watch them in the wrong order, like Bogus Adventure?
I think I watched them in order, but I think I was so young that it was almost like they were one film.
Yeah.
Because the thing that always stuck out was the hoverboard. Like, who doesn't want a hoverboard? It was so cool. It was so cool. So yeah, I think that was always what stuck in my head. And then sort of rewatching them, realizing, okay, they're 3. And then you just they're all great. But I remember just really, really enjoying watching the second one. Probably got more, if I was going to watch one without watching the others, it would be the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Although I remember the first time, in high school being homesick from school, and I was lying on the couch at home, and it was when you're sick and like all you can do is just like look at stuff. You're like, I can watch something, but it can't. It kind of. So I was like, I'm going to watch something that I've seen 1,000 times, and so I watched the 3 films backwards. I watched the third film, the second film, and then the first film. And I'd not done that before. And the amount of, like, I guess Easter eggs, for want of a better word, that I discovered. And this is before, IMDb or Wiki were, like, very readily available. It was still, like, very early days internet. And I remember, like, the moment that I realized that the, Twin Pines Mall is Lone Pine or something, and stuff, those sorts of things. And there was a bunch. I remember there was a bunch that in the first and second film hint towards, like, then stuff comes up in the third film that I never remembered, because when you're going forwards, it's not fresh in your mind, but when you've watched the third one and then gone second and first, you pick up on those little, like, it's like when you watch Arrested Development for like the 10th time and you're like, these guys are geniuses. This joke doesn't come to fruition until a whole season from now. Yeah. I love that sort of writing. I love writing that's been done with so much care of attention and detail. That it's, and that's why you also couldn't make a 4th Back to the Future now.
Yeah.
Because too much time has passed. You haven't been able to, like, seed anything in previous things. You'd sort of be plucking it from the films and trying to make it look like you'd intended to do that.
Yeah.
But it would have had to be made shortly after.
The beauty of that writing as well is because they never planned the sequels when they made the first one. And so Christopher Lloyd ad-libbed the whole, it's your kids, Marty. I got to talk about your kids. And that's an ad-lib that they kept in. And then he went, okay, now we're going to make a movie about his kids. Which is why they're kind of like only in it for like 5 minutes, basically. It's not actually about Marty's kids.
Yeah, and the girlfriend, they've obviously gone, let's get a better actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did that a lot Back to the Future, didn't they? Because they filmed with Stoltz.
Eric
recently.
Stoltz, yeah.
Eric Stoltz.
Yes.
For most of the film, and then they realised we can get Michael J. Fox, and they went and got Michael J. Fox, and then thank God for that. What year would you like to have seen the sequel? What year are you talking about here, do you reckon? Back to the Future was 1990. So how late? Are we talking mid-90s, 2000s possibly?
I would have liked to have seen them, or like when they would have travelled.
No, when you would have liked to see that sequel released. Back to the Future 4, when would you have seen, when's your ideal time?
They filmed the second and the third one around the same time, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I guess I'd quite like the idea of them filming them all around the same time, so that it would get released like I don't know, a year or two after the third one. Yeah. But I would have liked to have gone like even further into the future.
Okay.
Because we had one that was sort of equidistant from the present in the past.
Yeah.
As the equidistant from the one in the future.
Oh.
Okay. But then the third one is like quite a bit in the past.
Yeah.
So I want to see the same equidistant in the future. I want to just I like symmetry.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Have you got any ideas about what other than the timeline, Have you got any ideas of kind of what would happen? Or
Would aliens be too far?
I like it. I like the idea of having some sort of alien. Yeah, I think that'd be a really fun thing. I think I'd like them to. I'd like to see what the conversation is about whether anyone else. Oh no! Do you know what they did? They need to go to the year 3000, like the McBusted song. That's it.
Where they all
Or
live
Busted, or
underwater.
whatever it's called. Yeah, that's what I want. That's my answer.
brilliant.
I want them to go to the year 3000. That's it.
Great granddaughter is pretty fine. Yeah.
Because we talked about that. I do a podcast called A Problem Squared
Yeah.
with a mathematician called Matt Parker, and we had talked about that song and all of the inconsistencies in the lyrics in one of our episodes.
Yeah.
But someone, and I think I might try and bring this up in an upcoming episode, but someone had written into us to point out that, and they said this ruined all the Back to the Future films for them, that with time travel, a lot of the time, the idea is that you travel through time, but you stay in the same place.
Right, yeah.
You know, like
the
unless
time
you,
machine
unless
one.
you've, yeah, exactly. Because even, you know, with Back to the Future, at least like the car sort of then appears of where it would have gone off. But the Earth rotates around the sun.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So if you were in the exact same point in space,
Yeah.
then you would just be in a vacuum. Just
You'd
instantly die.
just appear in the vacuum of space, so the Earth's like the other side of the sun.
Yeah.
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 Oh, wow.
That's
Mind blown.
Yeah.
amazing. You'd have to plan your kind of like jump forward to like when the Earth was going to be in exactly the same place. Like, yeah. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. It's like, it's one of those things you're like, oh yeah. And it reminds us how much we think about Earth as like the center of the universe. Even though we know it's not, but we think we do think of it that way.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look, you've blown Dave's mind.
Yeah.
He's-
So maybe that's what I want them to go to the year 3000, and when they get there, they're just in the vacuum of space. They immediately die.
It'd be like Fast and the
No.
Furious where they go to space in a car.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
But somehow it's got involved around their families, right? So that's got to be the storyline in there somewhere. I'm trying to think how they can get to
They live
vacuum space
underwater,
now.
Dave. Like,
Yeah, but still got to have Marty McFly Jr.,
be like his
Jr.
great granddaughter.
Oh,
like
it's pretty fine.
406. Like,
One of the, and I think this was on a different episode. It's come up a lot on our podcast
Time travel
about
is
the science of Back to the Future. Yeah, but but specifically Back to the Future, because in the third film, and this is not the only reason why I prefer the second, but the third film, his mum looks like not the mum, but his great grandmother or whatever looks like his mum.
Yep.
His great grandfather looks like him, but they're called the McFlys, and McFly is carried through them. Like the name would come down the male side of the family, so his mum shouldn't look like his mum.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
that's
you're
true.
ruining it.
So we worked out on our podcast. I can't quite remember what the answer is. So now it's a subtle plug just for people to go through our back catalogue and find it. But we worked out like what cousin removed or whatever because like at some point they were related, and so we worked out like how incestuous his family needs to be basically in order for that to all make sense.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're ruining my favourite films. Oh.
Incest and vacuums. That's Back to the Future ruined
Back
for
to the
you.
Future 4, incest and vacuums.
Yeah.
Incest and vacuum. Well, I would love to have seen it at some point as well. I always dreamt of a Back to the Future 4, but like you, I think Christopher Lloyd's too old, and sadly, Michael J. Fox has got Parkinson's. And that trilogy is practically perfect.
Yeah, it is. I mean, really, I don't think there's anything that I have a real drequel of, because any film that doesn't have a sequel, I'm pretty much like, yep, that could stay that way.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. And anything that already has sequels, either they're fine or there definitely shouldn't be more.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of destroys the concept of the podcast, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. As I said, definitely on the wrong show for this.
Those were Bec Hill's Unequal Sequels. Ah, lovely stuff. I do like Bill and Ted.
So do I, mate. I'm really happy that I've watched one of them.
Yeah.
And I can tick the Bogus Journey, which weirdly is the one that most people have not watched.
Oh, really?
Off the
Is
list.
that true?
I think, yes.
Oh,
I think
okay.
most people have watched the Excellent Adventure. Which I still haven't watched. Sorry, everyone. I know if you were wondering and you listened to the episode and you're wondering, has Dave listened to watched the rest of these films? No, not yet. He hasn't.
Oh, Dave.
He will. I nearly bought it the other day and I just thought, no, I'm going to spend my money on films I know are good.
Excellent Adventure is good.
Is it excellent?
You should definitely watch it. It's excellent.
Good. Bec, she's a brilliant comedian and person, and her picks are great. And it is nice that she really lent into it and told some funny stories. Her nan sounds brilliant, by the way, who took her to the cinema a lot when she was much younger. And her picks are great, and they were personal to her. And so her best was Bogus Journey. Her worst, which was also a ride, which also is also her, like, one of her favourite ever sequels, because it's so bad it's good to her.
Yeah.
And she makes people watch it just to see how fucking mental it is.
I hate it personally, but I can see that.
It's definitely up there as a bad sequel in our books, but I hated watching it again. I'm gonna have to stop watching these bad sequels that I've watched multiple times now, because I can only so many watch like Speed 2 and Batman and Robin so many more times. And then her dream sequel was a Back to the Future Part 4, but filmed pretty
back
quickly.
in the day. Yeah.
Not now. And
I
she
can see
a lot of love for Back to the Future, so that was nice, and I liked all her picks.
Definitely. It was a brilliant chat as well. She's a really great person. You can tell that as well as a comedian, she's a podcaster, because she does that. Does that stuff really well. She's a really good guest to talk to, and her podcast is great.
Yes.
There is an episode I particularly like, which is "Can You Live on Just Ice Cream?" So yeah, go check
I hope
it
the
out.
answer is yes. Go check out her YouTube channel as well. You might have seen her do these. She has these flip chart things, really funny. She's done it on 8 out of 10 Cats does countdown. And the Jonathan Ross show, she's also done a Christmas special on there. So go check out her YouTube channel. It's got loads of funny videos. She's ace. We were so lucky to get her on this podcast. I've been bugging her for quite a while, because I know she's a big film fan, and she didn't disappoint.
Definitely not. And she was recording in a cupboard surrounded by lots of coats.
It
was great. No one could see that, but it was brilliant for us.
Maybe I might try that soon. Might be better than this room I'm recording in, but yeah, it's always nice to record with people that have proper microphones.
If you want to go back and listen to when we didn't have proper microphones, then get yourself all the way back to series 1, and check out what we sounded like before we discovered what proper mics were. And yeah, while you're there, hit the little subscribe button, hit the auto download button, and we'll drop into your pod player of choice every single week. Well, I mean, we're coming up to the end of season 5 now, not very long to go, but it is a brilliant season, and the guests we've got coming up are fantastic. So do make sure that you hit that subscribe button so we can drop into your pod player and you can hear them. If you really, really like us, get yourself over to anotherslice.com/unequal sequel, where you'll be able to join our subscription service. It's only $2.99 a month, and you will get a sequel to every one of our interview episodes for this season and last season. including Bec's today. There's a nice extra episode there. You'll also get Disenfranchised, Box Set Mentality, and there'll be our Barbenheimer review on there too, very, very shortly, if it's not there already. So that'll be nice. So yeah, lots of extra bits like that on there. If $2.99 a month is not something you can afford right now, then just get yourself on social media. Tell your friends all about us. We are at Unequal Sequel on. I'm still calling it Twitter. I refuse to call it X.
Agreed.
We're also on Instagram and on Threads. You can also find us on Letterboxd and on TikTok, I'm reliably informed.
Yes.
Not that I know what TikTok is because I'm a middle-aged white man. So yeah, sorry. Don't really know much about TikTok. I'm pretty useless, to be fair. But yeah, get on there. Let us know what you think of the podcast. If you agree with some of Bec's choices, give us a shout. Also, you can send us an email because we are old fogies and we quite like email. We're unequalsequel@hotmail.com. Yes, Hotmail. That's how old we are. Dave's shaking his head because he loves a bit of Hotmail.
Still a thing, still relevant. Most people I email with, some of them, our guests do have Hotmail accounts, and that always makes me smile and chuckle because I'm like, fuck you, Rich. Fuck you. Thank you for listening. You guys are great. We couldn't do this without you. It is surprising us that people still listen to us. So thank you. Send your thoughts in to us. We love reading that shit out, and it always goes into the end of month roundup, which is going to be the end of August. Whoa.
I know, right?
Only 4 months till Christmas. And sad. And I've got nothing else to say. I'm going to stop talking. It's a goodbye from me. So, bye-bye. And it's a goodbye from him.
Bye!
See you on the next one. Sequel to this one. Have a great week. Sincerely. Bye-bye. I have to make them believe I'm sincere.
You are.
I am sincere. Makes it sound like I wasn't sincere, but I am sincere. I want these people to have a great week. I'm positive. I've just watched Flaming Hot, and I'm all pumped up for the underdogs and the,
Do you want to start digging yourself a bit more of a hole, mate?
Yeah. Rich, say something good and funny so I can...
No, we leave it on that.